In the last episode of the Southampton Career Mode, we signed Dutch winger Calvin Stengs from AZ. Despite a hat-trick from Ings, we were knocked out of the FA Cup by Manchester City. In a dramatic turn of events, Leicester won the FA Cup, meaning that we missed out on Europa League qualification by only 2 points. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Flick here. Welcome back to another episode of our FIFA 21 Southampton Career Mode. This is episode number 5 and the start of Season 3. After an 8th place finish in the Premier League last season, we're looking to build upon that this year and finally achieve qualification for a European competition. In order to do so, though, I think we need to address our manager rating. It has somehow continued to decline further and further, despite fairly consistent performances in the Premier League. So I'll be addressing that throughout this episode. Stay tuned for that. But we'll start off the episode by fielding some of your press conference questions. And Obafemi had more or less a breakout second season with us, finishing top 3 for assists despite featuring in significantly fewer matches. I think it would be absolutely fantastic if at some point in this career mode, Obafemi makes his way into our first choice starting 11. Only time will tell though, because as things currently stand, his rating doesn't quite justify it. Let's keep in mind though that he is still a young player for Southampton, and for right now, he's going to be an incredible impact sub. I mentioned this in just about every episode, but I genuinely cannot thank you all enough for all the support shown on the channel and this Southampton career mode in FIFA 21. It appears that YouTube is recommending this series to more of you, so if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm really glad to have you part of the community. If you're enjoying this Southampton career mode, it would mean a lot if you could leave a like on the video. It's one of the best ways that you can help support the channel. And while you're at it, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on any uploads. But without further ado, let's push on with today's video and what might be the most important Southampton episode to date. As we review the squad going into Season 3, I have to point out the fact how impressive it is that the majority of our starting 11 consists of original Southampton players. By default, the Saints have so many young players with incredible potential, and that caters perfectly to career mode. But in today's episode, our transfers will be addressing a few key areas that we need to improve in our starting 11. Our goalkeeper situation has been a bit unsteady, if I'm being honest. We loaned out Gunn in Season 1, and while McCarthy did the job for us, it wasn't exactly an area I was impressed with. As we transitioned to Season 2, Gunn increased a few more in his overall, but we're still just too inconsistent, letting in too many goals that eventually lead to drop points. So while it's not an area that we necessarily need to improve right away, I will be presenting a few options for goalkeepers that we might pursue in the January transfer window. In regards to our left back, De Silva is someone that I believe has potential and could eventually be a first choice left back option, but it is still our weakest area in terms of overall ratings, so we need to make an improvement there. And finally, there is the important topic of Danny Ings and what we want to do with him moving forward, whether he's going to be our first choice striker, as he has been contributing so many goals in this career mode and for Southampton in general. There have been some comments saying we should put him on the transfer list, try to receive as much as we can as he has reached his peak rating and potential. Other comments say that this Southampton side would not be the same without him. And I think I've come to a good conclusion in that we will be keeping Danny Ings here at the Saints. However, I do think that we need to start thinking about a new long-term solution at the right striker position. If we continue on the topic of the long-term future of this save, unless things go disastrously for us this year, we will have European competitions to think about next year. That means we'll need squad depth, and if we want to keep using this 4-4-2 formation, I think we need 4 quality strikers that can rotate around in the side. If Obafemi continues to improve at the rate he has, I could definitely see him featuring as one of our starting striker. Otherwise, we can always sign a high potential player in a future transfer window. So with that said, I would appreciate your feedback on the matter. Let me know what you think about this solution. I think it works for everybody. And I would also appreciate some striker suggestions in the comments section, particularly younger players that can grow a few overall ratings before going into the first team. With that topic fully addressed, we'll transition to some summer transfer window talk, as we have roughly 65 million to work with. Our primary transfer target for that left back position will be Rami Bensibani, someone who has a lot of experience in France and Germany. While he is known to be an astute defender, he also has a knack for scoring goals, something that I can definitely use in this Southampton side. And to make matters even better, he had less than 12 months remaining on his contract, meaning that you can usually pick up the player for less than their market value. We signed him for only 20 million. His contract included an important first team role to a 3-year deal worth 36 grand a week. Now to the topic of our goalkeepers. I've been trying to let McCarthy leave the club for a while now. Let's be honest, he isn't receiving much playtime outside of cup matches. Unfortunately, transfer talks between him and Henk broke down on transfer deadline day. So I thought we should stall this topic until the January transfer window, and then we can address it in the next episode. I'll be giving 2 different goalkeeper options, the first being one of England's highest potential goalkeepers, Dean Henderson. He's currently at PSG and he's probably backing up Keylor Navas. I think that would make this transfer somewhat realistic because before PSG, he was backing up David De Gea. He probably wants first team football consistently. Another option would be bringing in Aaron Ramsdale. He doesn't quite have the same overall and potential as Henderson, but he could start as a rotational player for us, featuring in cup matches, and then once he is a higher overall than Gunn, he could become our first choice keeper. Obviously, with Ramsdale having a lower overall and market value, we could probably afford 2 signings in the January transfer window, so maybe we could bring in a high potential striker as well. So let me know what you think in the comments section. I honestly believe both options would work very well for us, but I do want to get some input just to make sure it's the right decision for the future of the save. In regards to players leaving the club, we had a few players go out on loan as well as permanent deals. Claire will finally be leaving for Austria Wien. He's been rejecting contract deals left, right, and center. I'm glad he finally found a club that works for him. We also have a Southampton veteran, Romeu, leaving for Villarreal. I wanted it to be a realistic transfer, so I think him going back to Spain and La Liga makes sense. Slattery will be going out on loan to Sivasspor. There's a lot of center mid options ahead of him, and if he increases quite a bit in his overall, maybe he can find a way into this Southampton side. It's kind of a sad day for me as Hesketh will be leaving the club for Bournemouth for 1.4 million. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite have the overall to make it into this Southampton side, and I wish him the best of luck in the championship. Wilkins will also be leaving on loan for the championship in Brentford. A couple of dev plan changes. Salisu will be now working on a defensive center back training. This will see an increase to his pace as well as a few of the key defending and physical attributes. Diallo will be changed to a defensive midfielder. I feel like that's the role he's going to play for the Southampton squad for the rest of the save. We're always going to use him alongside a box-to-box CM, so he can really work on his defense. Speaking of box-to-box players, we have changed Ward-Prowse to a balanced development style. I feel like we've seen enough of an increase to his pace now that he can just fine-tune the rest of his attributes, and he's already an amazing center mid. Let's make him a little bit better. Finally, Josh Sims will be changing to a left midfielder. He's actually increased a decent amount over the course of the save. And as Redmond starts to get older and starts to decline in his value, I see Sims being a good backup for Stengs. Diallo finally made an appearance for the Saints and unveiled his kit number for the 2021 season. What a match that was, a 3-3 draw against Chelsea. So we will be giving him the number 27. In order to help meet our brand exposure objective, we need to sign 3 players from Asia. And I feel like the best way to do this will be through youth scouting. So we'll be setting up a network in Japan for 6 months, looking for a physically strong player, hopefully finding the next Yoshida. I also like the idea of us setting up a network in the United States with me being American myself, so we'll be scouting out the US for 6 months looking for a winger. Exciting times here at Southampton. I think we made the right moves in the summer to help set us up for the rest of the season and hopefully help us qualify for Europe. But this will be the squad that we'll be rocking for at least the first half of season 3. We'll get into some matches and see if we can get some results. Going into this 3rd season, I was sort of on the fence about what settings we should use for this career mode moving forward. Supposedly a patch recently came out on PC, which made competitor mode even more difficult. So I think for these next few episodes, we'll keep the current settings legendary with competitor mode on, and if we're unhappy with that, we can always change the settings in the future. Our first Premier League fixture of Season 3 will be against none other than Manchester United, who have proven to be a very difficult opponent for us in the past. After last season's heartbreak in the Europa League, I think it's fair to say that a lot of clubs will be looking to us to see how we respond in this season, and what better way to prove ourselves than against a strong United side. But the first highlight will go to United, as a mistake out of the back will lead to a goal by Bruno Fernandes. This seems to happen year after year. Early defensive mistakes end up costing us points, but luckily this happened early in the match, so we still have time to respond. Judging from past fixtures, this United squad is known to hang on to possession in the final third. That was even more the case for this match, as this was a very fortunate goal for Immobile. I'm not sure how, but the ball bounced in a very favorable position past Walker Feeders and was set up perfectly. Bruno Fernandes continues to show his creativity and playmaking ability as he nearly gets by Bednarek here. But we will get on the break, and this is where we need to make United pay. Nandez with a lot of space in front of him, and the United defense really dropping back, allowing Nandez to push forward, eventually finds Adams, but it is saved by De Gea. I think it's fair to say that a lot of confidence has been put in De Gea considering Henderson's transfer to PSG. But just before the halftime break, we'll finally have some good link-up play between Adams and Ings. Our proven partnership continues to pay dividends, as we'll cut the deficit in half and making this a manageable match for us to get back into with still 45 minutes left to play. De Gea even got a piece of the shot, but it had too much power to be stopped. We'll see some good attacking-minded play by Ward-Prowse, getting into United's final third and showing some creativity here to create space, find Adams, who will finish the chance on the near post. A brace for Adams to make the match level. It was always going to be a tense 20 minutes. You know United want nothing less than the full 3 points, and they nearly get the third goal here. Greenwood's shot going off of the post. And in the final moments of the match, unfortunately, we will concede off of this corner kick. It's Marcus Rashford who nods it home. I can't say we've conceded too many goals from corner kicks, but when United want to score, it seems like they will do everything in their power to make that happen. While we won't have any points to show for this match, I believe that this fixture showed that we can hang with some of the best clubs in the Premier League. It will be interesting to see how we respond against Sheffield United, who have made some cool transfers over the course of this career mode. I'm also using this match to scout out how Ramsdale performs and whether we want to sign him in January. As we get into these highlights, I think it's fair to assume that Gunn may have realized I was scouting out Ramsdale because he put in one of the most impressive performances I've seen from him. First highlight going to Sheffield United. They work the ball around well. However, this shot will be denied on Gunn's near post. This is one of the most poorly executed offside traps that I've seen by the CPU. A ton of space for Adams, and with that much time, he's only going to find Danny Ings for the volleyed effort. I'm really happy we decided to keep Ings for this third season. This career mode wouldn't be the same without him, and we certainly wouldn't score as many goals like this one. We'll try to double our lead here before the halftime breaks. Ings playing through Adams this time to space. However, Ramsdale closes down the space pretty well, denies that effort. And now transitioning to the second half, it's another big save from Gunn, this time on his far post, denying the decent long shot effort. Ward-Prowse pushing the ball forward. He's known for his box-to-box ability. And again, it's Ramsdale with a solid save. As we get to the last few minutes of this match, it will be some good dribbling from Ward-Prowse, waiting for the right moment to finesse this effort to the far post. Not too much Ramsdale could have done about that one. We've seen from Ward-Prowse's set pieces deliveries how good his curve is, and I think that was showcased here. Although the scoreline might not reflect it, this Sheffield United squad had some great build-up play. This passing sequence will lead to an opportunity for Balde Keita. Gunn closes down the space again, and he'll try his best to keep the clean sheet as Obafemi plays through Ward-Prowse. This time he decides not to take the effort himself, unselfishly plays it across to Adams, who will bag his first goal of the match. One of my favorite things about this Southampton career mode is how evenly we distribute goals across all of our players. We really don't have one standout performer. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. If we had one star player, other clubs would look to pick him up. In what might be the final match that McCarthy features in for the Saints, I decided to start him against his former side, Crystal Palace. Ultimately, I want to show Premier League clubs or even clubs abroad that McCarthy can still put in good performances despite not receiving as much playtime. And we nearly have a dream start as 15 minutes into the match. Ward-Prowse plays through Adams, however, this will be called back for offside. Not long afterwards, Palace have an opportunity to hold possession in our final third. Some good dribbling play will lead to a near post effort denied by the post, and I think McCarthy will be very grateful for that one, as I was going for the volley effort here with Ings, and that is one of the tamest volleys that I've seen in this career mode so far. Despite some pressure from our defenders, that was an easy finish for the Crystal Palace player. Despite not having the best standings in the Premier League this season, this Palace squad came to play. You can count the number of attackers this Palace side had in our half. They were pressing us hard, and it paid off for them as another ball is played through. Palace doubled their lead, and it's disaster for us. 40 minutes into the match, we are down 2-0. I was not expecting this when I fielded a rotated side, and we had to turn things around quickly. A new half seemed to spark some life into our squad, as Redmond will get a chance here from the left-hand side, and eventually playing this in to Ings, who is fouled by Riedewald. It's kind of an interesting penalty because I was holding the jockey button trying to hold off the defender. However, Ings went down. I'll absolutely take the penalty. However, it is saved well by the Palace goalkeeper, and we'll continue pushing on. Ings playing it through to Ward-Prowse. He holds off the defender well, and he'll bury this chance off the post and in. There's not many players in this Southampton squad that have been as consistent as Ward-Prowse, and that's what I like about our captain. With a goal on the board, it seemed like momentum had finally shifted our way as a corner kick effort is saved and tipped onto the post. I couldn't believe we didn't get a goal from this chance. as Palace trying to play out of the back. However, a misplaced pass will lead to an opportunity. Adams threw on goal. Again, the unselfish play to play this over to Ings, who will get the equalizer 82 minutes in. I'll admit that this probably wasn't the best taken chance by Ings, but the build-up play to the goal was absolutely brilliant. We've seen plenty of late goals in this career mode, both conceding and scoring goals. And luckily, this time, it will be a goal scored as Ings is played through. That will make things 3, and it's the Crystal Palace defense who falls to the ground. After a summer transfer window that saw an uncertain future for Ings, I'm glad that he has stepped up in this first half of Season 3, and he continues to score goals. In order to help us meet the long-term financial board objective of making a 10.8 million profit from youth player sales, I'm going to promote a few of our youth academy players that we scouted out this season, basically all the ones that have a 60+ overall. These players are going to have the highest value, and they probably wouldn't have found their way into the Southampton squad. I'll try to retain a couple of youth academy players, especially Dexter Newton, because that's an important aspect about this Southampton career mode. But we will round out the gameplay portion of today's episode against Aston Villa, who have also made some interesting transfers. It seems like mid-table and even lower table sides in the Premier League are super creative with their signings. You'll notice Kasper Dolberg at the striker position, as well as Hulk at right wing. One could argue that Aston Villa perhaps should have invested more transfer funds into their defense, because we are going to carve them open. Adams with an easy effort, but it was the diagonal run by Obafemi that set things up. We haven't seen too many goals scored by Obafemi this episode, but he still makes an impact on matches. Y'all will have to let me know if you experience this as well, but whenever I'm considering demoting a player to a bench player or considering transferring them out of the club, they seem to put in big performances like Gunn did here. That's another impressive save to add to his portfolio this season. Just before the break, it's Aston Villa who again showcased some creative attacking play. Dolberg with the back heel, Trezeguet with the far post shot, denied once more by Gunn. And now in the 60th minute, some 1-2 play, Gunn with a good reaction save to tip this one over the crossbar. Villa will have a chance to equalize on the ensuing corner kick, and it's nodded toward target, however denied by the woodwork, and we'll look to close out this match after a perfectly placed lob through ball is set up by Gineppo. Adams doesn't miss a lot of these chances. Luckily for us, we were still able to see out this match, and that puts us at 9 out of 12 potential points from gameplay fixtures. In my opinion, that's an improvement from last season. I've mentioned how much of an impact us getting draws has for us in terms of our league position. That has not been the case in the first half of Season 3, only 2 draws across 21 matches. As a result, we find ourselves second place in the Premier League. However, there are a lot of teams close to the top, so I don't think this is necessarily unrealistic, considering that 8th place West Ham is only 8 points behind us. But as we look at the bottom half of the table, the gap between teams will increase more and more. Sheffield United, Aston Villa, and Burnley in the relegation zone. Player performance is extremely similar this year as it was last season. Adams still leading the way with 11 goals, Ward-Prowse in second with 9 goals, and Ings in third with 8. As for the assist, Ings again leading the way with 7 assists, Nandez with 5 assists, and Ward-Prowse again appearing in the top 3 with 4 assists. It'll be interesting to see if we can maintain this sort of performance in the Premier League for the next episode. It is truly destined to be a good one, but I hope you all have enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, but until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to y'all again soon.